Hi, I'm Janessa, a teaching artist here at the Perez Art Museum, Miami. And today we're in this special exhibition created by Felipe Mujica. And we are getting inspired to work on an art making activity that's going to be using grid, pattern, and a little bit of color. There are 12 to 15 curtain works here in this gallery that Felipe Mujica worked on. And to explore these better, we're actually gonna start by putting on a glove as we come into the gallery, and we're able to actually move these artworks. Our main thing we want to focus on is making sure that we move them gently. These artworks are inspired by patchwork designs by the Miccosukee tribe, a tribe here recognized in South Florida. So my first question to you is, what inspired you to create these curtains and what made you want to work with these patterns?
Well, basically I've been working with fabric for about 16 years. I think the common thing of all my fabric projects is the use of geometric abstraction. The new element I'm working with is this abstraction of nature through the eyes of the Miccosukee people.
Lovely. So first, to explore these, as we come in as guests, we want to put on a glove, and we're actually allowed to move these pieces.
Yes, there's two kind of installation. One is against the wall on these cables, for example, what we have here. So if you want to move them, Janessa, you can move them. So these are meant to be interactive. So the public is allowed to move them gently, side to side, and create different combinations of color. We have them here all together, but they can also be separated and spread around the space. You can create a space in between two curtains or have them overlap. And then in the center, we have the curtains that are hanging from just one thread. These are meant to interact by themselves. So they move slowly, they spin in 360 degrees on both directions, and they are affected by sort of the environment with the conditions of space, of if there's people in the space moving around, or maybe there's a little bit of air circulation. So there's two ways of interacting.
And as we move them, we can actually change and explore different compositions. And especially with the motifs that you have on here, the symbols, guests can actually create new compositions and kind of see patterns come together.
Yes, exactly. So people can create new combinations. For example, this one is rain, and next to it we can place lightning. So you can also create this kind of dialogue of color, of the shapes, the lines, you know, and at the same time, the title each one has a meaning. The idea is that it's an exhibition that is in constant movement. So you might enter the room at one point and see a specific arrangement. Sometimes the drawing could be facing on the opposite direction, so you will see the back of the curtain, you won't see the front. You have to walk around, you know, and that also is a way of interacting with the piece, that you have to actually walk around to see the front of the piece.
Lovely. So I actually want to explore a little deeper on how you work on these patterns and come up with these different motifs and symbols. So I actually want to have a seat in the center of the gallery and actually work with you on maybe a design. Does that sound good?
Okay.
So here we are, ready to get started, sitting down in the gallery. And the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is about the grid that we're going to be using. So this grid here is a grid that you would see in school. It's a set of square lines that are coming across the page, and usually use it for graphing or maybe for drawing. But today we're going to be using a little bit of a slightly different grid. So Felipe's grid that we're working with today, would you like to show them?
Sure. So I like to make up my own grids, and grids can also have diagonal lines. They don't have to be, you know, only squares. So this is a grid that I came up with some years ago, and I've used it for multiple projects, drawing projects, workshops with children and seniors. And the idea is that you have, you know, it's a rectangle that's divided with these diagonal and horizontal lines that basically set up, you know, create this triangle sort of structure. And the idea is that each participant come up with some sort of pattern. Everybody comes up with a different solution, and that's the idea.
Okay, so when you're doing this as a workshop with students, where do we start? What's the first step?
Basically just throw yourself and with color and interact with it. But you know, you can also just start painting. You can also just start drawing, and for example, there's different ways of doing it. You can color the whole thing, color like a whole rectangle, or you can also make like a line pattern. In this case, maybe I decide to go. So you can also just decide to hand color whole space.
So I decided to not do a pattern. I went ahead and used the inside of my ruler and the little shapes inside to create some shapes within the shapes.
Some people tend to work more in a symmetrical way. Symmetrical means like if I did this green triangle here, I will copy it on the opposite side. So we have a sort of a symmetrical design. Or other people prefer to do something non-symmetrical and just sort of improvise. If you're here with a few friends or your cousins or your brother, sister, you know, you make a design and then you can, look at the whole group, look at how different they are. And that's also interesting because as you said, everybody has a different way of maybe understanding or appreciating color. So it's nice to see the different results. Each drawing, each design of each curtain, it came out from the same grid. And here, like if we put these two together, we already see how different they are, and they both come from the same sort of base grid structure. Yeah, and also if you want, you can fill in all the triangles, all the spaces, or you can also leave some open, you know, just leave it blank. You don't have to
fill in every crevice.
Like I think now I'm pretty much done here. I'm gonna leave it like this with a few white spaces. Or you can fill in the whole thing if you feel like.
I think I might just fill in these spaces here, and then I think I would be done just with green.
That's mine.
Awesome. So I think we're done. Let's go ahead and put them side by side. Let's check them out, see how they interact. Really dig the patterns. If we had to title these, what would you title yours?
Maybe Fallout.
Fallout,
just because of this sort of symbol here that reminds me of this sign for those bunkers.
Nice. I think I would go with, for mine, Black Widow. It's got like kind of like a webby theme in the center. It's got kind of this pattern going on with the red and black. So I feel like that would be like what a spider looks like, you know, protecting their web or waiting for food. We want you guys to do the same thing. Create your patterns on this grid. Also try to figure out a title for it. You know, every piece, motif, and symbol in here has a title or represents something. So what would your design represent? And then of course, make sure you take pictures. Make sure you take pictures of yourself here in the gallery, take pictures of your artwork that you create here at the museum, and share it with us using #PAMMDIY.